I always say that gatekeeping is necessary and good, but you do not keep people out. You keep out only attitudes. I didn't want to have to make this video, but certain things have been happening lately that I suppose are making this more relevant than I ever thought. And to many of the points that I want to make in the future, I think this is kind of like foundational. I wanted my channel to be purely about telling stories, producing a better TTRPG or an RPG in a video game format, basically writing better stories. I did not want to have to get involved into what I would call politics. But yeah, we are all getting a little bit squished against the wall and somewhat a little bit forced to get and take part. So we are making a stand, I suppose. We are guarding the gate. I always say that gatekeeping is necessary and good, but you do not keep people out. You keep out only attitudes. So anyone should be welcome if they have the right attitude when they're coming into any kind of fandom. And I'm sorry, but we have lost so many and we have so few left. And it shouldn't matter what kind of culture you come from. We should be able to welcome everyone with open arms. Like, I don't remember a time when any of the hobbies or the fandoms that I have been part of, or I still am, have been exclusionary. But I do get the point when some people feel uncomfortable walking into the hobby shop or the comic store or around a table of players or getting to learn a new hobby. I get that sometimes it's intimidating and some of the people there make people uncomfortable. That could come from a defense mechanism from those people. And I'm not saying that anyone has to put up with it at all. No, I think it's justified to have any complaints. I think this is the more beneficial part of the conversation. So hear me out. Let's think about a type of fandom as a treehouse. Something that has been built with love and care, with people that have a common interest, they have a certain passion. And it is on those early days when finally the last nails are put in place, everything has finally somewhat of a shape that you take on and you have the best memories to treasure. Now, some people may want to have part on it. Maybe some people go, oh, that's a very nice treehouse. Can I come in? Yes, you can. Here is the password, but you need to promise that you're going to look after it. Now imagine that somebody walks in, doesn't like what they see, and they want to change it into something it's not. Like a hair salon. Like, sorry, this was for like reading comic books. You know what I mean. It's turning into something it's not, to the detriment of everyone that was there to begin with. It's disingenuous, and the worst part is that now it is the original creators of the treehouse that are getting blamed and ostracized and demonized. You have the right to be angry when something precious to you gets mistreated. Why don't you make another treehouse? And that's the bigger question. I always say the most important question you need to ask in any situation is not the what, is not the how, it's the why. So why can't people who disagree with us just build another house? And I know I'm going very far with the whole house comparison here, with the whole metaphor, but hear me out. I still haven't finished. Why aren't they happy creating their own? It's because it's also part of their mission to destroy yours. It should be easy for people to just look at the treehouse from the outside and figure out, is it for me? Is it not for me? If it's not for you, just walk away, right? Should be easy. No, now is not acceptable. If it's something that is not for you, it must be destroyed. Why is that? It's because with the social zeitgeist, especially in entertainment, Hollywood, and certain political inclinations, the original fun person or the nerd, the people that gave birth to most of the fandoms in the past, are undesirables. Like, no, you don't want to be that kind of guy. Let's talk about this for a second. The kind of person that was a fanboy of comic books, sci-fi, horror, fantasy in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, up to 2010s maybe. It was always the same sort of guy. You know, it was someone that was not very popular, but it was mostly a guy. And it's not to take away from girls who will be in a fandom. We also had girls, but there were not many of them. Normally there will be like the girlfriend of someone or the sister of somebody else, or in some instances, girls who actually did find the fandoms on their own. And I don't know how it was in different countries, but where I come from, they were welcome. What I mean is, these guys had nowhere else to go. They were not good at sports. They were not good at going clubbing. They were not very socially accepted anywhere else, especially because they were not into the kind of conversations that other people would have. Where would they go? Who would they hang out with? We would hang out with ourselves. We had nowhere else to go. Forget about dating. Forget it. Forget about dating. Forget about finding a girl or doing anything remotely what the mainstream people would do. And it's still largely like that for many people. For example, let's go to a Warhammer club or Warhammer shop where you don't get that many people so much into anime or like dressing a little bit more flamboyantly. You find very plain guys. You find guys who go to the gym and people who have never seen the gym ever before, just playing together. I mean, regardless of the problem with the personal hygiene, that's another thing. But we have been making our own world for a long time. And now we have grown into people that either work in tech, or we have grown into people that have disposable income. And as it happens, the video game industry is actually more profitable than the music industry and the film industry put together. Now corporations have turned around and said, ooh, those people have money in their pockets. There are companies like Games Workshop that started in a van, that they had their first shop in Hammersmith. And the owners, the people who put the company together, were sleeping in a van, and now have been taken over by lots of shareholders, producing millions and millions of pounds every month. And now the game is changed. Now we are, in the words of the executives of Wizards of the Coast, we are an obstacle between them and our wallets now. We are a number. The good days when we could rely on the providers of our entertainment or the products that we used to buy to feel a little special, to connect with each other, they only see numbers on us. And the people that are hired now to deal with us, community managers, are becoming a plague. They are supposed to be the link between the customer and the company that produces either the games, the materials, the scenery, paints, you name it. They're supposed to be the link in there, and they can't stand us. We are a very flawed bunch of people. We are, and we have very bad apples around, but I think that we kind of self-police somehow, and we're good at it. Because for the most part, we never forget the amount of excellent, wonderful people that we meet along the way, regardless of those bad apples. But we just keep getting mischaracterized by these bad actors. We know when to stop. We know when to protest, because now we're not kids anymore. And now we are the ones with the money. We are the ones that can say, no, you're not going to have my wallet. And this is why we are going to win this culture war. Because now we can build our own tree houses. Every single one of us can do it. Everyone can fight to build one without having to ask anyone for permission. We saw Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, The Witcher, Marvel, DC, all of these things go down the toilet because of ideologies. Like an ideological war that doesn't work for most people. We have seen all of these franchises go to hell. Everything we have loved for decades just go down the toilet because they're hired people who essentially did not have a real love for the characters, the stories, the worlds. It represented nothing to them. It was just a playing field for them to just manifest their own ideologies. And there are worlds that are essentially wars of ideology. Of course, look at Dune, look at Star Wars itself. There are very meticulously narrated wars, like in the world of The Witcher. You can do it. But again, we refer to the question, why? Every time that we decide we're going to manipulate the lore, we're going to introduce something, we're going to emphasize an idea, we can do it. But ask yourself why. If the answer is there's a board of directors telling us, that's not the right answer. No board of directors should have creative input other than the artists that they are hiring for their inspiration and their talent. We need to be listened to, because if you don't listen to us, we will create our own fandoms that don't have a board of directors that can be easily manipulated. And I get it. Companies want capital, so they go public. And then BlackRock shows up and puts a lot of capital in there, gets a high percentage of shares, and then they start enforcing an ESG score. They push the EI and distort the essence of the franchise, the company. So what if we decide not to go public? Look at Larian. What if we decide our own policies? What are they going to say? What if we decide to keep our investments small, manageable, and private, so we can let the customers decide? Wouldn't that be better and more profitable? The money's there, because every now and then now something comes out and happens to be a massive success. And you still have big companies and Hollywood and all these airheads scratching their heads thinking, how did that happen? And it doesn't matter how much we scream on their faces until we're purple. We have been telling you for decades what you need to do. They still act like they don't know, and they keep making dumb decisions. Anyway, these are my proposals, okay? Jump to better alternatives. Things that have not been tainted. Let's make lists of things where BlackRock has no put their claws in. There are lists of things that are submitting themselves to all these identity politics, and let's make lists of things that don't. Let's give them the support that they may need and deserve. And I don't mean that just by not being associated with certain people, their product is better. If something is shit, let's just keep it shit. But maybe we are not supporting the right people. I'm not scared of having the bigger companies crash and burn. I don't care if Disney goes tomorrow, or Games Workshop, or Wizards of the Coast. I don't care. Because you already have the books. You already have the cards. You already have everything you need. And it could give you inspiration to create something new that's going to be better. And this time, it will be running on our terms. Not everybody wants to fight. I get it. But don't let anyone, least of all, a big company, tell you how you should have fun. Okay? All right. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.